Irvine. Some of you might have been in attendance for yesterday's International Student-Led panel, and I hope you all found their perspective helpful and informative. For our international students who are not able to attend, a link to yesterday's recorded panel is on our website and will be sent here in the chat as well. We also have one more student-led panel, which will be tomorrow at the same time, and I encourage you to attend and interact with some of our current grad students who have been in your same shoes. So first and foremost, I want to start off by saying congratulations to all of you on your acceptance to UCI. For those of you who have already told us you're planning on coming to UCI, welcome, wholeheartedly welcome to the Anteater family. For those of you who haven't quite registered yet, we hope this session can help convince you that UCI is the place to be. All of you in this virtual room should be very proud of yourselves already. Being accepted to graduate school is a huge accomplishment, and making your transition to graduate school can be a large adjustment. So with that being said, I am excited to welcome you to our beautiful campus, and I hope you choose to take advantage of absolutely everything UCI has to offer. I'm so personally proud to be part of the UCI family. Our top tier programs, our world-renowned faculty, our extensive professional development, our health and wellness services are all things that really help UCI stand out above the rest. So we have an incredible panel of experts here today to answer many and many of your questions. So I'm going to have them go around and make introductions. And as they do, please feel free to type your questions below into the chat. We are going to try to keep track of them and answer all of them the best we can. Yesterday, we had a huge amount of questions come through. So we do our best to answer them either in the chat or to answer them live. But let's go ahead and introduce. So, uh, Dr. Diaz, would you like to start?
Sure. Thank you. Um, Thank you, everyone, for having me here. I'm Dr. Frances Diaz. I use she, her, aya pronouns. I am the director of the Counseling Center, which is part of the Wellness, Health, and Counseling Cluster. The Wellness, Health, and Counseling Cluster has a range of resources. It's overseen by Dr. Marcel Hayashida, who couldn't be here today. But within that unit, we have the Counseling Center, which offers short-term, time-limited mental health resources and treatment for enrolled students. So it does not require insurance. You just need to be enrolled, and it's short-term and time-limited. We also have our Disability Services Center within this unit, and that is offering accommodations and auxiliary aids and support services for students who have documented and permanent and temporary disabilities as well. There's also the Center for Student Wellness and Health Promotion, which provides a range of programs and support services around health-related topics and well-being topics. We have the Student Health Center, which is a fully accredited outpatient medical and dental resource. It utilizes the insurance that is offered by the campus or by the system, and is located right here on our campus, which is a great resource. And they also have psychiatry over at Student Health Center. We have our CARE office, which is our Campus Assault Resources and Education office, which provides support for survivors of sexual assault, intimate partner violence, and stalking. And so it's a great confidential resource and provides a lot of support to individuals who may be experiencing some of that during their time or previously even to arriving onto this campus at no cost. We have our Campus Recreation Center, which is, we call it the ARC, Anteater Recreation Center, and it has it's a great resource for participating in different kinds of sports and activities, as well as physical activities, including the gym and even cooking classes and things like that. It's a really, really fun and great resource located on our campus. We also have our childcare services, which provides support for students and families who might have little ones. And so if you are a student who has a little one and you are needing childcare services, this may be an option that you might be eligible for and that you may want to consider exploring during your time here as a potential graduate student. And then lastly, we have our Office of Campus Social Work, which provides case management and resource support to linking to things like basic needs services and other kinds of resources at this campus. And so definitely consider any one of these. The nice thing is that they are available to you as an enrolled student. We will have a PowerPoint presentation that you'll be able to download that has all of the information that I just provided an overview of for you, that you can always reference that in addition. The last couple things that I want to mention is that UC Irvine has really been a leader amongst really attending to the well-being of our students. And to that end, we've introduced the comprehensive well-being initiative, and it's about looking at programs and policies and environmental factors as well as resources that are available to students to really create a community and a campus of caring and support as you navigate your experience here as a graduate student. We work really hard to offer programs that are focused on providing equity in mental health and access to those who maybe didn't traditionally access that kind of support or resources so that you can be more successful as you navigate your experience here. And so we really hope that you learn through this and through, as you consider where you want to ultimately land, hopefully with us, that you have access to some really, really remarkable support services while you're here as a student. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Kaylee, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Dr. Kaylee Anderson-Natali, and I'm the Director of Postdoc and Professional Development in Graduate Division at UCI, and I work out of the Graduate and Postdoctoral Scholar Resource Center. So at the GPSRC, that's what we call it, we support graduate students and postdocs in terms of personal, academic, and professional development. So programming that we have includes programming on health and wellness. We work with grad counselors to provide a lot of really relevant programming around health and wellness for our graduate students, and even have some peer education programming if you're interested in kind of getting involved. We also do a lot of programming around fellowship writing. So if you're going to be applying for any kind of external fellowships, for example, the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship or the Fulbright program, we have lots of great resources, and we provide one-on-one consultations as well. Another big area of focus is professional development, and we focus on both academic and non-academic careers. So one big specific area of this for graduate students is those that are interested in entering the non-academic space. And we have the program Accelerate to Industry, which brings in industry leaders to talk to graduate students about topics like corporate culture and networking, and a lot of the skills that you don't necessarily learn in a classroom or in a lab, but it's really important to get those jobs that students are interested in. We also have lots of programming around academic careers, including internships at the California Community College System and the California State University System, and of course, lots of workshops around building your diversity statements, building your teaching statements, getting your CV exactly right, so that when you're on the job market, you can have a really high success rate getting those interviews and getting those roles. So that's kind of just a taste of what we do in the GPSRC. We also, of course, love to have students stop by. We are open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and we're on the 3rd floor of the Gateway Studies building. That'll make more sense once you're on campus, but hopefully we'll see you stop by in the fall, and you can engage in some of our great programming.
Thank you so much, Kaylee. Ruth, could you introduce yourself? Ruth Ortega. There's two of you now.
I was gonna say which one. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Ruth Ortega Gonzalez. If you were at the yesterday's panel, I was the one moderating at 8 a.m. Again, if you've heard this information already, I'm sorry. But for everyone who hasn't, I am the new manager of Graduate International Recruitment and Retention. I am new to the role, so it takes me a bit to remember my long title. I'm with Grad Division, and so my primary focus is going to be to work with international students or graduate international students incoming, the ones that are currently here as well. I run the Graduate International Connection Program, which is to pair up basically current graduate students with incoming international students to kind of guide you through resources on campus, basically ease your grad life experience as you're transitioning into grad life, especially for those who are never even been in the US. This is the first time that you're coming on a grad program. It kind of helps you in terms of knowing what resources they have for you. And so that's why we like to pair up these. And this program is great because it does that for you. While I am new to the role, I do have about a little over 9 years of experience working with international students. I worked on more of the visa compliance side of things, so I know the regulations behind F1 and J1 visas, but I'm not in the official capacity to be able to advise you on that. There is an entire international center on campus that can help you with that. I am very familiar with the office because that is where I was for 9 years. So I can definitely point you in the right direction. But again, as much as I may know the answers, I can't officially advise you just because of the Department of Homeland Security regulations behind it. But I can certainly guide you in terms of the right direction. And then congratulations, and hopefully whoever hasn't made up their mind decides to come to UCI. It's a beautiful campus. Some of us who are alumni, we come back and work as staff because that's how much we love it here. But yeah.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Ruth Quinnen.
Hi, everybody. Congratulations, and we are delighted that some of you are coming here, and some of you we hope will decide to come. My name is Ruth Quinnen. I'm the Assistant Dean for Academic and Student Affairs in the Graduate Division. So I oversee a lot of different areas, admissions and recruitment, student services, student retention, the GPSRC, health and wellness, our academic counseling section, and various other things. Basically, we're all a resource for you. Everyone in the grad division and everyone that's here on this panel is a resource for students. And so we want to make sure everyone's aware that there are a lot of central resources. And, this is just giving you an idea of, kind of what we do, what we offer. And basically, we are a unit that supports students. I think we all are, everybody here. And that's something we're all really dedicated to. And, we have various people in the office that meet with students. I meet with students. I encourage any student that has a question or a concern to contact me. They are welcome to do that. Students can make an appointment to speak with me. As I say, we have, lots of people in the office, and they're dedicated to helping students, providing support, making sure that students have what they need to succeed. So, I want to welcome you and encourage anyone who has any questions or concerns or issues. You are more than welcome to email me. If I don't know the answer, I will find out who does and get you in touch with that person. So, welcome everybody.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Appreciate it. So we're getting a number of different questions about people that are kind of pivoting from what they did in undergrad, in particular going into, for instance, full-time MBA programs, and how we help support students in that pivot. I would say that the MBA program is used to this pivot. A lot of people will do something else in undergrad and then decide to switch. And so I know all the faculty there, and I know they're dedicated to creating a strong foundation as you enter. Everyone comes into grad school from a different place, right? And I know with my students that they all have different gaps in their education. And so I ensure that I help fill in those gaps in that first year. And I think that all of the programs do that and ensuring that your foundational base is very solid as you move forward. With that said, there are some kind of broader resources on campus that can help you. For instance, there's the Graduate Writing Center that provides workshops as well as drop-in tutoring. Kaylee, can you maybe talk about some of the other kind of support workshops that we do in the GPSRC?
So we do a lot of fellowship writing, so that depending on your program kind of comes into play. We don't necessarily have a lot focused on just the academic development, but another great resource on campus that's not mine is the UCI libraries. They have a lot of great programming around programming, statistics, and of course also those research skills for using the library. So I find that a lot of students that need help with that kind of academic preparation, the UCI Libraries provides a lot of help. I also would just, as a person who went through graduate school years ago, one thing that I was very surprised with as I met a lot of graduate students is that as Dean Smith had mentioned, everyone's coming with gaps. And I think a lot of people, even if you're continuing on in the same field, you're exposed to a lot of new material really fast often. And so you're going to find what those gaps are, and they're going to be able to be addressed in that first year, ideally, especially through your coursework. But I just kind of want to validate that it's really common to feel like, oh, I'm not sure that I was prepared for this, but it's just part of the process. Part of the process is learning to identify those gaps in your preparation and in your training, and then figure out ways to fill in those gaps. So I just kind of wanted to give a little encouraging note there.
And if possible, I'll just add, at the Counseling Center, we have a series of workshops specifically geared toward graduate students on a range of topics, and it changes from quarter to quarter. But we will address things like imposter syndrome, or how to communicate with your advisor or your faculty, or some of the sort of pain points or challenges that graduate students experience as they're transitioning into graduate school, and then as they're remaining in the programs. And so things related to stress management and balancing sort of personal life with the demands of graduate school. These are part of the topics that we cover. And so know that this campus has tons of resources to support you as you are making these decisions and arriving into these spaces.
Thank you so much. Everyone has to pardon me. I'm at home, and so I have a cat that keeps jumping up. So pardon the interruption. I want to go ahead and address the question of what has or has not changed in UCI related to graduate students' life in light of the recent funding uncertainties in the U.S. for science and universities. That's a big question, and one that everyone across the country is really grappling with right now. We are trying to conduct business as usual as much as we possibly can. We are not going through and taking down any kind of DEI resources or eliminating the support that we have for students. We have been living with Prop 209, which has already, basically given us guidance that is similar to the federal policies since 1996. And so we're in compliance, and yet we find so many different ways to support and uplift all different types of communities on a campus. So DEI has not gone away in any way or decreased. As for the funding, so again, we are trying to do business as usual. We have done some conservative admissions this year, as all campuses are, but we are still committed to doing everything we can to fund you and to support you during your time here as graduate students. So I think that we will see what happens tomorrow, but that is what we know today. And, we are dedicated to our research and to your success. And so there's another question. Ruth, maybe you can answer this. I'm an incoming PhD student and will be receiving the Dean's Quarter Fellowship for the fall quarter, which covers tuition, fees, and a stipend. And I was wondering if it would be possible to claim child care reimbursement for that quarter.
You can claim childcare reimbursement. Actually, yes. You just have to provide receipts showing that you've paid for the childcare, and you can request reimbursement for that. Reimbursement is available to students on full fellowships, students who are employed as teaching assistants or graduate student researchers. So we do have, I think, a decent childcare reimbursement program. So yes, you will be able to do that.
There's also a question about when the decisions for the Decade Competitive Edge summer program will be made. They didn't have any dates or info yet. I don't know if, Ruth, if you have any answers to that.
So I know the applications are being reviewed. I think that there was a 2-part review. The first part, I believe, has been done. So I think they will be going out with answers and acceptances probably in the next week or two, I would think. I will double check on that and see if I can post that in the chat.
So another question that came up is about people that are transitioning from the semester-based system to the quarter system, and kind of what the difference is. Do I expect to take less courses, number of lectures per week, so on and so forth? I can answer a little bit of this, and maybe Ruth or Kaylee can support me on it. So the quarter system can take a little bit of getting used to, in that it does feel very fast. At the same time, you get kind of a broader range of the types of classes that you can take. So it is 10 weeks of classes with a finals week. So 11 weeks in total. Typically, to be a full-time graduate student, you are taking 12 credit hours. And so that is the minimum amount you need to take. And that is typically, most classes are going to be around 4 credits. And so that's about 3 classes. There might be some that count for less, some that count for more, but I'd say on average, probably around 3 to 4 classes. Ruth, do you have anything to add on that?
No, just that I would suggest, giving yourself some grace and some time. Transitioning from semesters to the quarter system can be challenging. So pace yourself, but it is necessary to make sure you keep up with the classes and the program and so forth, and ask for help if you need it. If you feel like you're getting behind or you're confused about something, please ask for help. You can ask for help from anybody from our office, your faculty, your program coordinator, but don't sit in silence hoping that things will get better. Please ask for help and ask for some guidance.
I'm going to do a plug right now for all of you to ask some questions. We've had some come through, but this is not even in comparison to how many we had come through yesterday. So the staff is here to help you with any questions you might have. There are no small questions, no big questions. Let us know and we'll do what we can. So please, I want to encourage you to ask things. So Ruth, this is for you. So incoming PhD student and have been offered a department fellowship, not contingent on employment.
Mhm.
When is the deadline to apply for graduate funding as an ASE or GSR, and what is the process like?
I would actually contact your program, because wanting to get an appointment as an ASE or a GSR is program specific. So each program may have their own deadlines by which they want to know if a student is interested. And I would absolutely encourage you to speak to or contact your program coordinator, because, as I say, it's different for every program, and programs typically do have their own deadlines.
Great, thank you. Are there resources available for Native American students on campus? I haven't seen anything up to date on that. Francis, do you have any response on that? Or ideas on?
I was just looking to see like how recent stuff is. I know that our Office of Inclusive Excellence had a couple of programs that were focused on supporting our Native American students. It's a relatively small population on our campus, but really wanting to make sure that there was some intentional support and programming for them. And so I would start with the Office of Inclusive Excellence to determine if there's been any recent updates. And so I was actually just reaching out right now to see, I was like, where is the current status on some things? And so for the individual who asked about that, I would look specifically there for right now.
Thank you. And if we find something, we'll post the answer in the chat on that as well. So we don't have our housing person here, but Ruth, do you have any idea of when campus housing will be announced for master's students?
They do PhD placements first, so they will work on placements for all of the guaranteed students first, which are the PhD and MFA students. So it depends. I would say probably July or August, because they have to offer housing to the guaranteed students first. There is some back and forth on that if students want a different offer, for example, on working on placements for housing when you're talking about thousands of students, it's a process that takes them a bit. So I would say July, late July, early August.
Thank you. This is a question, Francis and Ruth probably. So for students that are neurodivergent, what kind of resources exist on campus for those students?
Gotta find my so first of all, if the individual hasn't considered, I would strongly encourage them to get registered with our Disability Services Center. I think a lot of times people are hesitant to do that. They're concerned that this might cause some challenges within their program, but our Disability Services Center is remarkable and has done a phenomenal job in connecting with faculty and staff, and works really closely to make sure that whatever the neurodiversity that the individual presents with, it does not inhibit their ability to be able to successfully engage with the learning environment. And so that would be a good starting point. I know sometimes people wait until, there was the question earlier about the quarter system. Don't wait too far into the quarter. You want to start early. As soon as you've decided, start reaching out to Disability Services Center to get yourself registered and enrolled so that you can get the accommodations that may be appropriate for you at the time. Additionally, there are different support groups that have been created, different student groups and organizations that have really popped up over the last couple of years, recognizing that there is a need and continued opportunity for students who present with neurodiversity, really wanting to sort of be in community and have resources that support one another. And so there's a couple of programs and student organizations that exist around that. So,
Francis, while you're talking here, how early can we start counseling or therapy?
so for counseling, for us, it starts when your program starts. And so unfortunately, that means not necessarily starting in the summer, but as soon as the program starts in the fall, you become eligible for our services. And then your services still, like, even if you're not enrolled in a course the subsequent summer, you're still eligible to utilize our services as long as you're enrolled as a student for the spring and the fall that's subsequent to you. And so with respect to the Student Health Center psychiatry services, you become eligible for those services as soon as your insurance becomes live and active as well.
Thank you. Ruth, can you talk a little bit about how TA positions work, who's eligible for applying to them? And the question was also, is this payment on top of the typical GSR stipend?
So students are normally appointed either as a teaching assistant or an academic student employee or as a graduate student researcher. Relatively few students have appointments as both. Students are eligible to be teaching assistants as long as they are enrolled in 12 units, have at least a 3.0 graduate GPA. International students are required to demonstrate English proficiency via the TOEFL or the IELTS, and normally that's determined at the time you're admitted. But that's on a case-by-case basis in terms of the program. Some schools actually have a centralized program for appointing TAs, and like, for example, in social sciences, they have a centralized process so a student can put an application in, and that alerts the department that the student is interested in a teaching assistant position, and then the department will do their best, or the school, I should say, will do their best to match your area of interest to a particular course. They can't always do that, but they do their best to make sure that things are matched as best as possible. For graduate student researchers, those are normally determined by individual faculty, principal investigators, or advisors. So that would be something to address with, for example, your faculty advisor in your program. But as I say, normally those are one or the other. Does that answer the question?
I believe so. Thank you. Someone had a question about that they have received a fellowship from their department, and that it's not contingent with accepting employment offer. So it's going to depend. There's a lot, they're asking basically if it's both stipend and employment. You should contact your department, right? Because it is up to each department. I'm going to say typically a lot of fellowships will be put into place in particular for first year students so that you can focus on your studies and kind of getting caught up. And typically, not always, but typically a fellowship is taking the place of a GSR ASE appointment. There are exceptions to that though, so check with your department to see kind of, which fellowship and what funding they have offered to you. Kaylee, I'm going to pick your brain for a minute. Since you work so often with students, what are the kinds of issues, or in your experience as well as a grad student, that you often see within the first year?
So a lot of students in their first year are dealing with that like input of like lots of information and trying to handle the time management that comes with coursework it tends to be, I don't mean to scare you, but it does tend to be more intense than an undergraduate coursework load. So again, it's something that you'll get through. It's something that you can handle. There are lots of great resources for you, but it will be challenging to most of you. And that, again, is why we go to graduate school. So in the first year, a lot of students are just kind of dealing with how am I going to structure my time? How am I going to organize all of the things that I need to do to make sure that I'm getting things done? If you are coming in and you're on a fellowship and you don't have to work or anything, that's great. That often gives students a little bit more time to really focus in on that coursework. Other students may find that they need to balance their coursework with TA-ship or some research, or even maybe working off campus, depending on your situation. So I think that the biggest thing that we want to think about in our first year is time management, organization, and then again, really making sure that you're tapping into those resources as you need them. Identifying, am I someone who needs some help with writing? I know that I did when I started in graduate school, utilizing that graduate writing center. Or maybe you're finding that you need some help with like statistics. Again, library has great resources to help you. So I think in the first year, it's just really getting those organization and time management skills together, and then really finding where you need to focus your energy, being smart with your time, and then that kind of sets you up for success as you start to move into your phase for like advancing to candidacy for PhD students, or if you're in a master's program, kind of advancing into the getting the job part of your program, or if you're doing a thesis. So that's kind of what we see in the first year. A little bit later on, we see a little bit more concern, of course, on professional development and concerns about the job market. So I'll see you when you get there.
Francis, what are some of the biggest mental health and wellness challenges that you think that students face? And I know your office has a lot of different resources. You've already talked about the counselors, but we could talk maybe about some of the other wellness that's on campus.
I'm happy to do that. I was trying to type the insurance office link into this, so I'll do that in a second. But so I would say for graduate students in particular, what we continue to see, or the trend has continued to be related to stress and financial strains. And so I would imagine with all the things that are happening right now, that's going to continue to persist. That's not going to dramatically decrease right now. And then just really being transparent and honest for our graduate students who are later in their programs, what we see are challenges related to burnout and sometimes addressing power dynamics that might be at play with whether that be other faculty or advisors, and sort of how to assert their knowledge and information, but also be respectful and navigate those relationships. Those can sometimes cause a lot of strain and stress. I would say with respect to some of the financial challenges that graduate students experience, that's where our Office of Campus Social Work has been a really remarkable resource. It can help come up with really creative solutions and information and resources that might be available within the community, whether that be around transportation, or is it around basic needs related to housing, or is it related to food and things of that nature. And so our Office of Campus Social Work actually has 2 social workers embedded into our Basic Needs Center, and they meet with students. You can do drop-in hours with them to really problem solve around some of those basic needs that might exist. We also have a campus social work within grad housing, and they're there to help them navigate and address things that come up within the housing community for them, whether that be around having a family or navigating multiple relationships of, like, I've got to manage my family or an elder adult and be a graduate student full time. And so these are phenomenal resources that help provide the support, problem solve. And then outside of this cluster, our grad division has a graduate counselor, Fong Luong. He and I'm forgetting the other person's name in the office, but they do a lot of wellness support and activities. Wellness primarily focused on helping academic success, but will also really address sort of the overall whole person and how that can impact their academic experience. And so what's really wonderful is there's been a really great partnership between his office and our offices within the Wellness, Health, and Counseling cluster. And he's really wonderful at linking a student to the right resource, because sometimes a student can feel really overwhelmed of, like, there's so much, I don't know where to start. And so his office is a great starting point, and then saying, oh no, actually what you really need is counseling. Let's get you therapy. Let's get you connected over at the counseling center. Or, oh, what you need is nutrition guidance. Let's get you over to the Center for Student Wellness and Health Promotion, where you can meet with the nutritionist or the dietitian, and they can help you plan around just meals and things of that nature. And so that's a really great resource that exists on this campus as well.
Jamie, can I add to that real quick? Another thing that comes up with a lot of our first years, especially if you've relocated, is just the feeling of isolation and needing to kind of reintegrate socially. So I wanted to plug all of the resources, obviously, that Dr. Diaz went over, but also just making sure that you're getting out of your department in general. Obviously, you're going to meet people in your department, and that's great. But one of the benefits I think that the GPSRC brings is that you're able to interact with people outside of your department. So we have programs like the Mentoring Excellence Certificate Program, which is offered quarterly. And that's going to be grad students from all over campus and postdocs coming in and learning about mentoring. And it just gives you that opportunity to meet people and get more integrated into the community. I'd also encourage participation in the student government, AGS, anything that can get you involved and get you kind of involved in a bigger way, not so concentrated in just your lab, really seems to benefit students and helps them to deal with a lot of the burnout issues that we see and like things around social isolation. So I just wanted to bring that to attention to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I've been at UCI for 17 years now, and I'd say I am continually impressed with how the campus responds to the holistic student. Right? We don't want you to just academically thrive, but we want you to holistically thrive. And that means is in terms of basic needs. We have food pantries. We have pop-up closets to help you get professional work gear for interviews. We have a number of different kind of wellness programs, whether it is through the counseling center, through the GPSRC. We have a number of other wellness initiatives on campus. And I agree with you, Kaylee, that often it is just feeling kind of a feeling of isolation, right? It's just, so many of you are coming here from other parts of the US or from around the world, and it is hard to kind of find your community at first. I want to put a plug in. So there is a program we have that is called Next Gen Pathways. It will be launching in the call will come out for it this summer, and any of you that have accepted will get an email about it. And it's basically a peer mentoring program. And it starts in August as you're starting to move to campus so that you have a buddy. I believe in the buddy system, to help guide you through questions you might have, not just about classes in grad school, but also about Irvine and just how to navigate things. That person will not be part of the same program as you. Rather, we match based off of life experience. So, are you a grad student with children? Are you an international student? Are you a veteran? So on and so forth, because we feel that those life experiences often lead to trying to figure out the kind of the grad school slash life balance in different ways. And so those calls will come out for anyone that wants to be a mentee, probably in July. So keep your eyes open for that. It's called the Next Gen Pathways program, and all first years are invited to this program. Ruth, could you also talk a little bit about GIC and what it how it helps international students?
So we have something called the Graduate Interconnect Program. Oh, sorry, you probably meant the other Ruth. I will let you answer. Not used to having two Ruths.
I know, we all have to get used to that.
It's okay. Every time she calls you, I'm like, oh, that's not me. It'll take some getting used to. So yes, I will talk about the GAC, which is again the Graduate International Connection Program. So again, it basically pairs current graduate students who are experienced, who know the campus, have resources, have basically been through at least 1 year already at UCI in their program, and they're paired with new incoming graduate students like yourself, which is primarily international students. So the mentors can be international students or they can be domestic students, but they are primarily paired with international students to help them basically transition to the campus, as I mentioned earlier. The great thing about the program is that you're basically paired with someone primarily that we want that has the same interests as you do, so they can guide you better in terms of not only academics, but also just getting used to basically how UCI has its system. I know some of you are maybe coming from a semester to a quarter system, and it can be overwhelming, and kind of having that person there that can guide you in terms of what resources may help you get through all of this will be helpful. We will be doing a call out soon for incoming graduate students. So look out for that interest form. I should be having it ready soon. And then I will include information once I send that email, not only about the application, but even more information about the program itself and other resources. And then programming as well that we do throughout the year for that program as well.
Thank you so much. There's some questions about housing. So our housing representative was unable to make it today, so we'll answer these the best we can. So one of them was about how to get on-campus housing as a PhD student. So typically, once you sign the SIR, the Statement of Intent to Register, the department will then send out a link to you for the housing forms and how to fill those out. If you have not gotten that link from the department and you have signed the SIR, reach out to the department to talk to them, because they should be sending that to you if they haven't yet. When can you move in? I cannot give you an exact date since I am not with housing. I would say that it is most likely in September, probably early September. Um, I saw the question of when does the quarter begin and about orientation. So the quarter starts officially this upcoming year on September 22nd, with classes starting on September 25th. So typically those first 3 days, we kind of call it, it's like a welcome week for all the students returning to campus or starting. And there'll be a lot of departmental meetings, department specific orientations. Later this summer, you will all be getting an invite to a Canvas orientation course, and that will allow you to go work through the different modules about everything you need to know regarding the campus and policies. Ruth, do you want to add anything to that regarding orientation?
No, just that you will be receiving emails asking for you to enroll in the orientation course. It has various modules that address various different topics, and I would strongly encourage everybody to attend those and participate in those. They're also available, once you sign up for them, they're available at any time, so you can go back and watch them again. Or if you happen to miss a session, you can access it at any time and get the information. But some of it is about campus resources. Some of it, some of the orientation modules are about, things students need to know, things like paying fees, or different deadlines for things. So I would strongly encourage everybody to sign up for and attend the orientation sessions or avail yourself of them at your convenience, which is also a possibility.
And and the great thing about, we put these online during COVID rather than doing it in person, but what we found was that having it on Canvas, you can return to it. So when you forget things from orientation, you can go back to it throughout the year to help remind yourself and to find those resources. There's a question of, do you need to be on the UC SHIP insurance in order to use the resources at the counseling center and grad and postdoc resource center? So absolutely not for the GPSRC. So any of those kind of, student focused organizations like that, you do not have to be on GSHIP. Francis, what about with the counseling?
No, that's one of the wonderful things. So you do not need insurance to use the counseling center services. If, however, in meeting with us, we determine that, gosh, it would really be helpful for you to access more open-ended resources or maybe a higher level of care. The nice thing, at least right now, the grad insurance has a zero copay for mental health services. So if we refer you into the community, it's not going to really be an out-of-pocket expense for you. But to come see us, you don't need to have that. And to see the care office or the Office of Campus Social Work or Disability Services, none of those require insurance. Really, the insurance is our student health center. So.
Great.
And
Thank you.
also making appointments to come in to see Dr. Fong Luong, our academic counselor. That has nothing to do with insurance. Any student is able to make an appointment to speak to anyone as many times as they want, actually. So that's an entirely free service that has nothing to do with student health insurance.
It's a question about the limitations regarding using ChatGPT in a PhD. So we do not currently have an overall university policy regarding the use of AI and ChatGPT. Those policies are going to come up more on a professor by professor basis. I'm going to say, don't sabotage yourself, right? You use AI for the powers of good and not evil. And, there are certainly times when it can be helpful. For those of us with varying kinds of neurodiversity, I find that it can be incredibly helpful to help focus and draw things in. But you also want to ensure that you are taking full advantage of the education you're being given. And so don't lean on it as a crutch or as a way to circumnavigate your education. But that's going to be a professor by professor policy that happens. Ruth Ortega, when will the next International Coffee Hour program be hosted and how to register for that?
If it's in reference to the International Center's International Coffee Hour, you don't need registration. You literally just show up, and it's not only international students, it's both domestic students, international. I know the counseling center at some point also goes and offers resources. So you can, once you're on campus, it's hosted usually at the science library, and it's really just open space, and they have theme weeks, so you can always attend. So sometimes they're even doing crafts and drinking coffee and free snacks. If there's one thing on campus that we like is free. So if there's free snacks and free coffee, you're always welcome to stop by, but no registration is needed. You're a student, you can show up.
Will there be program-specific informational events for admitted students? I'd like to get a better feel for the program itself, if possible. That is going to be on a program by program basis. We do not have a full schedule of when those are being hosted. I would say that the Department of Program would reach out to you regarding that. There will be, if you have been admitted and you enroll, that right up going into the start of the quarter, there will be department specific training and orientation. But as far as town halls like this, I would reach out to the department on that. What are some? I'm gonna let some of those get answered online. So one of the things that I notice that's really hard for students to get used to starting grad school is your relationship with your advisor, because it's very different than it's like an undergrad. It is not necessarily the same dynamic of they're going to tell you exactly what you need to do or lead you through kind of holding your hand in the same way. And there's very much a give or take that has to happen with your advisor. And so some of them will want to meet with you weekly, some may meet with you monthly, some may meet with you once a quarter. It is varied and dependent on faculty to faculty member. But I want to encourage you to ask questions. That if something isn't clear to you, don't try to guess it out, but ask the question and document it even, right? If it's still unclear, write that email, send it out. You are your own best advocate in grad school. And I think it is very easy for people to feel like they have a dumb question or like everyone else knows the answer to this thing and I don't, so I'm not going to ask it. That is not true. Everyone's fumbling around a little bit. We do the best that we can to help with orientation, to help circumnavigate that, and to give you the resources you need for that. But also just advocate for yourself and ask the question, and talk to your advisor about things you might need. But also, they're going to have expectations of you, and ensure that you are writing that down and that you're taking the deadlines that they are giving you seriously as well, because they're trying to help get you to certain goalposts. I think that time management is probably the biggest hurdle of starting graduate school, of how do you manage your time between classes as an ASE or TA, doing your own research, other people's research, and it's tricky. And that is going to be the balance that you kind of have to work towards the most as you get started. And so find whatever calendar program you need to use, write everything down. I mark out times that I have to do, like this is my email time, this is the time when I do my own research, and I put calendar blocks in that so that I can work towards deadlines. Does anyone else have advice regarding that balance?
I'd just add from like reading the questions, just some of the questions about advising, like what is the signal of a good advisor relationship? I would say one signal would be able to have an open conversation about goals. It is great when advisors are very open-minded about what goals you have, but it's helpful when they can also contribute to that conversation so that you get that feedback. Another thing that I think is a good signal of like a healthy advising relationship is being able to set benchmarks and be able to identify progress to those benchmarks at a regular rate. One of the problems in doctoral education in particular is that there are these stages in different fields where people kind of get stuck turning their wheels. And I certainly had that when I was a doctoral student. And so that's where like being able to make progress, being able to see progress and identify it. Sometimes your advisor might have to remind you because it's hard to see. I think that that's really a good signal of a good advising relationship. I also just want to say, ideally, you're going to find your advisor and graduate with that advisor. But sometimes it doesn't work out. I switched advisors when I was a graduate student. It did impact my timeline, but I still made it out on time. It's more common than I'd like to say happens because I'd prefer people to not have to deal with it. It's difficult, but I also just want to be encouraging that these are challenges that graduate students are dealing with every day, and they're challenges that we overcome, and people go on and graduate and end up where they're supposed to be. So I just want to also plug that as well.
Thank you for that. And there was the question about, if someone does have to switch. So the first step is to use our counselors within the graduate division, to use Fong and Kaylee, because they can often help kind of act as mediators between you and your advisor to see if there is a way to find a new path forward, to solve disagreements, so on and so forth. If that doesn't work, then it is a matter of working with your department and the associate dean within your school as to how to switch advisors. Um, we do try to problem solve first because we are trying to keep your timeline strong and on track. And I will also say that it rarely happens that people have to switch. The majority of the students, of the grad students, find great success with their advisors. There's some incredible and very caring and passionate faculty on this campus. I'm glad to hear that this person is saying the faculty of the Claire Trevor School of the Arts are the highest caliber. That is my home department. I teach an MFA in lighting design, so I'm glad to hear you've experienced that, Xavier. Thanks for saying that.
I don't know, Jamie. That seems what's going on here. We've got a lot of really great programs, but it's a great program.
Ruth, so I know you're new in this role, but you've worked with the international students planting the path with Ortega. What are some of the challenges that you see international students facing?
Where do I start? No, I'm just kidding. So primarily the understanding that while academics is obviously very, very important, you also have the responsibility of keeping up your visa status, because I know that academics kind of takes over because you're at UCI and everything, but we've had unfortunate in the past, I had unfortunate situations where students were so focused on the academics that they also forget to they still have a visa to maintain in the US. So if you're thinking about doing anything that may seem to go not in line with the visa regulations, or you're just confused or don't know, there's an entire international office dedicated to that. So if you ever have any doubts, don't just do it because everyone else is doing it, because I know there's sometimes students, they communicate, they all talk, but they may not be in the same situation as you are in terms of the visa regulations that you may have to follow, particular to your visa category. So I would say that's one of the primary challenges is just kind of navigating both worlds, because they hear a lot of graduate students are doing many, many things that they might not be able to do just based on the fact that they have to follow certain visa regulations, and that restricts them. And the other one is just adjusting to the new life in the US, especially for graduate students who have never been in the US. A lot of the times they feel isolated, or they just don't know where to go for even groceries, right? They've never been here. And that's where I would say the Graduate International Connection Program would help you connect to students who are already here and can give you information in terms of where to go, even to do the simplest of things, right, on a day-to-day. Because I do know that a lot of the students, sometimes that was the main thing of, I don't feel like I'm at home. I'm just, all school, school, school. And so they also want to have a personal life. They want to get to know students here, primarily American students, so that they can feel part of the campus. And then just the regular thing of just being away from home, it can get lonely. So just look for resources. There's so many programs on campus that can help you kind of transition into grad life, so that they can connect you to other students. Take advantage of the programs that are here while you're a student, because once you graduate, that's it. We don't, it's not like the programs are all designed for students here. Not like we just forget about you, but in terms of resources. So I would say those are probably two of the more resounding challenges that they face, is just kind of, and just keeping in mind that you do have many offices on campus that can help you through grad life.
I was muted. So we're at time. So I want to go ahead and start wrapping up. I just want to say that in my 17 years here, I am so proud, deeply proud to be a member of the UCI community. I am proud of the work we are doing for students, of working with these amazing colleagues, who I all admire them all so much. And there's some really passionate staff members, faculty members that are working to help students thrive in the holistic, all parts of your life. And we do some amazing research, and I'm really proud of the alumni that we have and of the programs that we have. So I want to thank our panelists for being here. I really appreciate it. If you have other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Your departments can often answer some of the more detailed questions about fellowships, employment, so on and so forth. But again, congratulations on being admitted. If you are on your way here, we greatly look forward to seeing you. If you haven't decided yet, let us know what we need to answer to help you decide. Thank you, everyone, so much.
You.